Hello and welcome. Today we'll review, I hope this is on, great. Today we'll review Steven Pinker's Enlightenment Now. Enlightenment Now, the case for reason, science, humanism, and progress. Okay, this is the first book I'm reading by Steven Pinker. Maybe I've ever read one that I just don't remember, but this seems like my first. It's quite academic, and I think that's why it took me some time reading. Those that love deep academic material, it's an excellent read. But even for those that just love to learn about, where we are as a people, as humans, in comparison to where we're coming from, this is an excellent book. It will help you understand that we're actually in a much better place than where we were previously. Immanuel Kant in the 18th century, the late 18th century, defined enlightenment as humankind emergence from its self-inflicted immaturity. So there are these things that we previously believed as a people, that for centuries, that the Enlightenment thinkers eventually thought, no, this is a little bit off. We need to start applying reason, science, in order to come up to certain conclusions and live a better life as a people, than really believing in dogmas and in things like witch hunts, sorcery, witches flying on brooms in the night. So the overarching theme of the book is he tries to paint a picture of where we were previously and where we currently are, and that we got there through reason, through enlightenment. We didn't get there by mistake, get here where we are right now by mistake. We got here through reason, and the reason that was started by Enlightenment thinkers in the late 18th century. We all watch news on the internet and on TV. Have you ever watched news where the reporter says they're reporting directly from a city or a country where war hasn't broken out? Would that even be news? News is supposed to be negative. That is how we've been conditioned to, to think. All right, but so, and everything, most of the things that we know are things that we pick from the news. So if the news gives us only negatives, it simply means that we're going to be conditioned to think that everything around us is actually negative. So in the book, Steven Pinker is trying to paint a picture of we were worse off previously and we are much better right now. And then he gives numerous examples, statistics, and he properly juxtapositions examples from where we were with where we currently are to help you appreciate the fact that we actually are in a much better place. For example, smallpox in health. Smallpox killed over 300 million people in the 20th century alone. You can imagine. It killed one of the richest men, one of the Rockefellers. Smallpox. Chickenpox, smallpox. But it's a disease that was last diagnosed in Somalia in 1977. I've been killed 300 million people. Is that progress or retrogress? You'll tell me. But according to Steven Pinker, that is proper progress that needs to be celebrated. He talks about many things, including famine has gone down completely. And the example there, he says, people used to die of famine. Today, we are struggling with obesity. And then he says, obesity is a much better problem to deal with. Obesity comes because we now can afford enough calories to sustain ourselves. And some people end up consuming way more, which is a nice problem to have than having people die of famine because they lack the food, or the calories to, keep their bodies healthy. Life expectancy has improved globally. It started by improving, of course, in the West, but now even the African countries have picked up, and our life expectancy has gone up Maternal mortality, infant mortality has completely gone down, including world wars that used to consume the whole world. We had 2 of those in the past that were very devastating. When you look at the trajectory, we might actually never have another one because of enlightenment that got us to put certain measures in place to avoid some of those conflicts. One of which is, say, bodies like the United Nations, development of, say, nuclear weapons that are used to deter countries from attacking each other, plus many other enlightenment inspired mechanisms that have been put in place. Okay, so in health, things like sterilization while operating people, boiling of water. One discovery that most people take for granted that happened, I think, in the early 20th century was boiling of water, the germ theory. Somebody discovered that there were these small organisms that spread disease, that if the got boiled, they would actually alleviate a certain set of diseases. That was a major breakthrough that you will never probably see in the news anywhere being celebrated. So boiling of water, chlorination of water. Every country today has that water department responsible for chlorinating it and making sure that safe water gets to people's houses. That wasn't the case previously, and that is something that is worth celebrating. But what do you see instead? A war broke out here, so many people are being killed, so and so died, that crowd our minds into thinking that the whole thing is going to the dogs, which isn't the case. We're actually getting much better. There is talk of previously we had a lot of minerals and all those things, and oil, for example, and right now it's getting depleted. Mineral depletion or depletion of natural resources should not be anybody's worry. It's the news that wants to paint a picture of it's something to worry about. For example, he gives an example in the book and says there was a mineral called europium that was previously used in televisions and computer monitors. When that mineral was getting depleted, newer and cheaper ways of doing business, of making monitors were developed, and that's why we now have the liquid crystal displays. So as, for example, oil gets depleted, electric cars are coming into play, so certain worries are really just for the news. Overall, we are actually getting better. For equal rights, for example, women are now allowed to vote, women occupy, offices they previously never used to, and we actually respect them. Isn't that improvement? People are happier. Existential threats, like volcanic eruptions, are now avoidable. Previously, the mountains would just erupt and people would die. Right now, there are early warning signs we get to know, and then people are moved to safer places. Including mudslides, for example, that happened in Uganda, in the eastern part of Uganda. The people were actually warned. Some just obstinately refused to move, but they were actually warned due to early warning signs, weather predictions, and things in that line. All those came because of enlightenment. So, overall, Steven Pinker, in his book, Enlightenment Now, is telling us, hey guys, we are actually in a much better position as a people. Let's stop thinking that the good days are in the past. He actually says nothing is more responsible for the good old days than a bad memory. We are in a much better position today as a people and are continuously improving through science, through reason, through proper debate, and we are focusing more on humanism and further away from senseless dogmas that we previously fell for. So the book in a nutshell is, how should I say this? It's energizing. It shows that we are in a much better place as a people, regardless of what you see in the news. So go in, take a read, and get to digest this. Get to, dig deeper into what Steven Pinker has to offer. He says towards the end that, when we fail to acknowledge our hard-won progress, we may regress into thinking perfect order and universal prosperity are the natural state of affairs. The position in which we are in right now as a people didn't come by mistake. It came from proper reason and enlightenment, which we should continue to practice to actually continuously improve. But despite all that, there are also counter enlightenment practices that threaten, the current enlightenment that we've been able to achieve and the progress that we've achieved over time. That includes nationalism where, people value and are willing to die for a country. Go sacrifice themselves, say, for religion. They value the soul than life right now. Like, that is counter enlightenment. It's very important to value life even in the present. But things that make you believe that, this is useless and the next level is one that you should be working toward are quite dogmatic and go against the enlightenment that we've achieved so far. That is what the book says. Those are not my words. So go in and then get to learn about how we progressed as humanity, as humans, and how we continue to progress. And why you should continue to apply reason, science, and add some bit of humanism to everything that you do. And run further away from senseless dogmas that kept our ancestors back from development for the longest time. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you get a feel of what the book is about, and let's meet in the comment sections to discuss further. All right, so thank you and see you on the next one.